What up, y'all? Two Headed here, coming at you with a banger of a video today. So pack your bowls, pack a dab, let's get faded and get into the story. Today we're talking about the first time that I ever tripped. So this was like my freshman sophomore year of high school. Like any other day, I'm just chilling in my room, kind of just vibing, smoking, chilling by myself. Parents were gone for the day, and it was like a weekend. And at this point, my brother was still living in the house with me, and his girlfriend would come over occasionally and stay over. And this day he pulls up, he sends me a text. He's like, "Yo, we're gonna like go for a hike and like Toca Bowl, go for a burn cruise. Y'all, you want to come in? Like, you in?" I was like, "Yeah, for sure, bro. Like, I'm so down to do this. Like, give me a second. I'm gonna go grab my shit, and then I'll be down." He's like, "Nah, I'll smoke you out. You all good? Just throw on some shoes and come in the car." It's like, all right, bet, I'm all for this. So I get in the car and we make a trip over to like the nearest vape shop that there was. So we ended up going over there and I sauced him a 20. I'm like, yo, give me a little puff bar. And I believe we got a banana ice one and a few other ones. This was when like they were first coming out, so they were super popular. They had like fucking 15, 20 different flavors at the time. But we ended up grabbing those. And it's like, all right, we're gonna end up going over to this little hiking trail. It's like, oh, bet. I'm for it. So we get over there. It's like a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes away from our house. He drops it on me. He's like, yo, like, I got some acid with me. Did you want to trip with us, like, while we go on this hike? And I was a little hesitant at first, and he could kind of see it in my eyes. He's like, you're good. Like, I know it's clean, and I can start you off with half a tab if you want. Like, if you're a little nervous, it's like, all right, word. Like, I'll take half a tab. So I ended up taking half a tab, and we're just kind of chilling, smoking in the car for a little bit, roasting a few bowls. And we take like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes in the car max. We get out, and the whole car's box, fucking smoke pluming out of that bitch. We start up on our trail. I feel a little something. Maybe it was a little bit of a placebo because I've never done it before at this point, but I was definitely feeling a little bit of something. So we get along this trail. It's probably a 5K at max for this little hiking trail. And we ended up walking up. We go by this little rock statue, and it's holding like, oh, I forget what it was holding. It was holding a fucking puff bar, I believe. And we ended up switching it out. We're like, here, take our little banana ice one, because we had just chewed the fucking shit out of that while we were in the car. We continue walking up a little bit. A little bit after that statue, we end up toking up. He's like, yo, like, did you want to drop like the other half a tab? We're about to redose. It's like, oh yeah, word, I'll take another tab. I'm feeling great. So he ends up giving me the other half, and they take another tab each. We end up walking up, and there's this huge fucking, what's it called? There's just a huge row of pine trees over like the fucking trail. Huge, like fucking 60 feet tall pine trees, all in a row. And as we're walking, I kind of just see them tilting in a little bit, and it's kind of starting to feel like they're curving in like a ceiling. I'm like, okay, this is a little cool. This is kind of scary though, too. So we end up walking a little faster. And I'm kind of out of breath. I don't know if I'm sweating so much because I'm tripping or if it was because of the hike. We ended up taking another water break and sitting down for a little bit. Ended up pulling out a J. And at this point in the story, I think we should do the same thing. Grab your bowl, pack it up. Today I'm smoking on some Game Time from Scorched Earth. Incredible stuff. Cheers. So we end up taking this joint out, toking it as we're walking up, and I'm feeling a little better. I kept like, I don't know. I felt like the puff bar I had in my pocket was kind of like a pacifier, keeping me grounded at this point. Because at that point, I also wasn't really a heavy toker. So being high and tripping was kind of new. And it was very anxiety inducing. But this whole trail was absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. We're walking through the clearing. Like, after we made it out of those trees, the whole thing brightened up. Like, the sky looked purple and blue, just so beautiful. I didn't really have like many tracers or anything like that. There was no fractals. Okay, there was a little bit of fractals, but we'll get into that a little later. So we're about halfway, three quarters of the way up this trail, and we're like, all right, we're feeling good. So he ends up giving me another half a tab, and then he finishes that, and the other person that was with us didn't take any. So we get up to the top of this like mountain, and it's just this big clearing, and you can see like 20, 30, probably 50 miles. It is just a beautiful mountain range, and it's the clearest day out, just beautiful, overlooking like this whole southern part of the state. And we just sit up there for a minute, and I'm just taking everything in. I'm in awe. Like, I've never seen anything like this so vibrant. It was almost like being in like a Van Gogh painting or something, just full pastel colors. And we end up talking for a little bit, chit chatting. Like, all right, it's time to go back to the crib. So we end up walking back down the trail, and at this point, it was getting a little cloudy. Everything was starting to cool off, and we were having a good time. I wasn't really feeling any anxiety after this point, like just the euphoria of the trip and seeing like the view of that just completely turned everything around. So I'm just in the happiest fucking mood going back. And we're tired, toasted. It's like very hard to even fight off this trip at this point. Like my mind is going everywhere, every which way. We get back into the car and we end up driving back. And I remember being in the car and it just kind of felt like I was isolated alone. And I always got super bad car sickness. I don't know why. I still kind of do to this day when I sit in the back seat. Like I have to be driving to not feel car sick. But I was feeling a little nauseous now at this point. And we get back to the house. He's like, "Yo, let's chill down here for a little bit until it wears off." Just because, my parents ended up getting back at this point, and he didn't want them to see me fucking tripping sack. And he's like, "Yeah, your eyeballs are huge. You're definitely tripping. How'd you like it?" And I explained to him, like, "Yeah, I had a good time, but there's these things." He's like, "Yeah, that happens. You really got to be in a good headspace." He always gave me great tips for fucking tripping and everything. We ended up sitting downstairs. I think we watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Danny DeVito, hilarious. I love that motherfucker. But after that, it gets to like 8 p.m., and I just was too faded to even care about anything. I just ended up going upstairs to my room and laying down in my bed. And this was one of the worst mistakes I could have ever made. But let's wait for that. Let's take it a little dabski for y'all. New e-rig, gonna be smoking on some forbidden peach hash rosin. Cheers. A little courtesy rip of the pen. About time for the dab to be warmed up. That was a good dab. Uh, but I ended up going up to my room. This was like the worst mistake I could have made. At this point, I'd had no idea how long this shit would have lasted. I was only 4 hours deep into this shit. So I ended up like laying down on my fucking bed, and everything's just kind of swirling a little bit. I had LEDs set up and everything. The worst thing ever. I was not used to seeing so many bright colors and just having the LED lights on, and they would always like sync up to my music and shit. Terrible. But I'm laying down watching TV, and this is when like I first knew I was still fucking tripping because I'm watching the TV and I'm like just noticing different shades off about the show, and I got like a weird uneasy feeling in my stomach. Like this is not supposed to be happening. And I remember laying down, just kind of looking away, staring up at the ceiling. And I had a white ceiling, and I'm just seeing like little rhombuses or diamonds breaking off and going off again into like different colors. I'm like, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. I'm just laying there, and this is when it happens. Ended up hitting me. I got super overwhelmed. I got hit with a super big wave of nausea. Ended up like puking in a fucking trash can in my room for a second. And then I ground myself, hold still. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be okay. We're gonna be good. End up texting one of my homies, like, yo, you're tripping, blah, blah, blah. He called me. We ended up having a full conversation. He had me hop on like Xbox and shit. We ended up playing like Warzone or something like that. He helped me fucking fight through the whole rest of this fucking trip pretty much. I stayed up until like 3 a.m. Tripping, that means. I could not fall fucking asleep. Like, my brain and body were so tired from the hike and the trip. Like, I just felt like I was in sleep paralysis. I'm sorry for saying like so much. I felt a, a sleep paralysis or like an elephant sitting on me. I was just completely exhausted. I ended up falling asleep and closing my eyes. Just had amazing close-eyed visuals. That was like one of my favorite things about tripping in the beginning was just the close-eyed visuals because it was so cool kind of just seeing things that you were imagining or not even imagining, just seeing it in your eyelids or in your brain. It's a really cool concept in my opinion. Then obviously opening your eyes and seeing it face to face to yourself is just an incredible experience. It always felt like when you were tripping, you were on like a different vibration level. Like tripping with someone, it was like you guys were on the same connection, vibrating at the same length. Like you knew what was going on. You could almost feel their emotions through just being near them. But I stayed up all fucking night. I could not sleep. I ended up passing out after I toked a fat bowl in my room because I just said, fuck it. At this point, I'd already been caught by my parents' token. I was like, it's worth the risk. And that's what I did. I was able to pass right the fuck out. I should have eaten edibles now that I'm thinking about it. I know I had some, and I should have eaten just a ton of those to pass out. I was not thinking. I took the bowl, I laid down, and I can just feel my whole body kind of just relax. It was all tense, all fucking 12 hours of this trip, and it just relaxes. And just, whew, big sigh of relief. End up going to bed, passing out, waking up the next day, and the after effect of tripping on anything is not the greatest. Mushrooms is probably the best because you feel kind of an afterglow, but acid, your brain just is tired. You feel slow. We call it mashed potato brain. And that's exactly how I felt the next day. Just kind of felt like a hippie hangover, whatever you want to call it. I was just cooked. But yeah, that was the first time I tripped. I hope y'all enjoyed the story. I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.